All right. I'm in the building. Yo. All right. Peace and love to the family. What's going on, man? Can I get a can I get a um confirmation on my sound and my picture? Huh? Huh? What does this thing work? Okay, yeah. How do I look? How do I sound? How do I sound? How do I sound? Huh? Yeah, I'm good, good. You're loud and clear. All right, yeah. So I had to jump on this immediately. Welcome to a new Hollywood Decoded. The last thing we did was they cloned Tyrone. Now we have Leave the World Behind. Okay, leave the world behind, baby. Now remember, Earth and world ain't the same thing. World is a society, a way of life. Okay. So leaving the world behind is just the world as you know it, just letting that go. All right. Um, I saw the first time seeing it, saw a lot of things. And me and my brothers that we do meetings every Wednesday. I ain't been on there in a minute, but I'm still on the chat with them on the phones, and I hipped them to it. They started seeing things. Mama J started seeing things. And I saw a great deal of stuff too. So, I was like, there's more. There's more. I want to go deeper, but I'm like, nah, let me just I gotta at least get round one out because I know this is gonna be a conversation leading into the holidays, leading into the solstice. They even mentioned the winter solstice up in here. You know what I'm saying? So I have to I just had to. This is just one of those. It's like, come on now. I gotta talk about it. And anytime that I'm ready to do a decoded, nobody else is. People be like, wait, what movie would you talk about? And they don't have time to see it. And I just be sitting there like, I gotta talk about it. I started seeing all this stuff and doing all the decoded, and I was like, I'm just so ready. And it's just been on me. And I was like, yo, I know there's people out there been watching this joint, and they like, KT, are you gonna say? I know y'all don't need me to say nothing with this one. This is almost like they clone Tyrone. It's like we at the point now where these producers, directors, sources, whatever it is, are like, okay, let's just put it all in there now. You know, making the job so easy. And I just remember a time where I had a lot of people around me that was just like, "What are you doing this for? Why are you breaking down movies? Why are you wasting your time? That's not important. You need to do this, that, and third." And it's just always been a personal passion to deal with mythology because we've always dealt with mythos as a people. It's just that it was in story form and then it became plays. You go to Africa right now, there's a big circle, you know what I mean? And they dress up and they dance and they put on a show. It's just now it's filmed, it's written and everything. So it's still that same mythos and being able to see what's going on to understand psychology, neurocinematics, predictive programming, Simpsons 101. Um, it's something that I gotta do. I gotta do, you know. All right, so so spoiler alert. I mean, you should know that. It's called Leave the World Behind Decoded. So if you don't want to know anything about this movie, then that's on you. Before I get started, let me double check on my sound one more time. Is there a delay? Is there a delay? Is there any problem with the sound before I go? No, I'm good. Okay, we Gucci. All right, let's proceed then, shall we? All right. Let me Okay, 1 second, 1 second. Let's. Oh, yeah, 1 second, y'all. It's not even giving me the option now. 1 second. All right. Let's. Do, 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 do. 1 second. Of course, it's bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. Bear with me. Um, okay. 1 second. I think it's. Why won't y'all let me? Mm, mm, mm. I'm trying to pull my screen up so y'all can see the screen. Okay. Okay. I think I'm good now. Come on. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. All right. I might have to just say it because it's not letting me share it like I want to. You said it's well worth the wait. I appreciate it. This is that build up, right? This is that build up. Hold on. Come on. Okay. all right, all right. I'm back, y'all. I'm back. Yo, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Okay, I think we good. Hey, okay. Now here we go, man. Here we go. So check this out. Before before we even get into the depth of the movie, I have to give honor where honor is due, and that is to the black mother, to my black mother, to the black mothers, because that's who was absent in the movie to a degree now. Okay, to a degree, because technically the deer, the earth, the flamingos, the birds, the trees, Nate, like all of that represented the black mama. The house, okay, represented the black mama. You know what I'm saying? Like she was present in that degree. But unfortunately, the actual mama of Ruth and the wife of G.H. Scott, went into the underworld, but that's one of the main things that, they was like, yo, if there ain't no black mama around, yo, it's going, the world is over. You know what I mean? So, yes, and that was another thing. The mother was in Morocco out of all places. And, when we get a little deeper into this movie, you're gonna see like what they were really talking about this land. There was just a lot of layers on layers on layers. There was dialogue, there was symbology, there was certain angles. There was a lot of stuff going on in this movie. But I want to definitely talk about the fact that the black mother was missing, and the last place that she was known to be was in Morocco. And for those of y'all who don't know about the relationship between Morocco and America. Morocco is what gave America its credit, in order to even be established as a country, and it's our connection to our sovereignty as well, the Al Marak. And it gets into our Moorish history, but we're gonna touch on a little bit more of that. You see what I did there? You see what I did there? All right. Let's keep going. I'm going to, let me see. All right, so I'm gonna, of course, off the rip, we're gonna go straight into the one. So the first thing that really caught my eye was the Obamas being involved, but we're gonna get to that in a second. But I gotta talk about the White Lion. You know what I'm saying? The chat group that I'm in with the brothers of mine, when I told them to go watch it, this was one of the main things I told them to do the other day. Was after they watched the movie, I hit them with the, "Did you notice the White Lion?" And it's like it's hard to ignore this giant oil tanker, okay? Because when you deal with oil, you're talking about carbon, you're talking about black soot, you're talking about what? The essence of blackness, right? Damn near melanin when you see tar, when you see oil, when you see crude oil. So you see this ship coming up to shore, and it means multiple things, and it ties to this Morocco thing. So first of all, let's speak about Credo Mutwa. All right, Credo Mutwa just passed a few years back. David Icke used to interview him all the time. He's a high priestess in South Africa that spoke on the a lot of the extraterrestrial connections with this planet, where we come from as a people, our magic, our power, his metaphysical, occultal, and magic knowledge was just unmatched. And he was very powerful. I used to watch his videos, listen to his information back in the day a lot. And like I said, for those of y'all who know who David Icke is, David Icke did a lot of work with him as well. Matter of fact, I think one of the books that Icke wrote, he has a lot of Credo Mutwa's translations in there too, like an interview. So Credo Mutwa talks about the white lion. The white lion is real big in South Africa as well. And white lion is the eternal essence of African wisdom, right? Many African tribes, particularly the Shangaan, have long believed that when the earth is sick, God send his children out in the form of white lions to heal and protect. So they went out to this beach, right? Charleston Harbor, in Long Island, and there they're on the beach, and we're gonna get into Rose shortly. Rose was, pretty much the most astute of them all, and Rose kept noticing the ship, and it's deep because we talking about firmament information in here. We talking about flat earth information in here, because one of the main arguments all the flat earthers talk about is the horizon and everything like that. So it's funny that the first thing to kind of change the reality and the consciousness is this ship on the horizon. That was the first thing. So it keep coming closer and closer, and she's trying to tell her fam, but they ain't listening. The two men asleep, right? Archie's sleep, Clay is sleep, knocked out. You know what I'm saying? um Amanda Julia Roberts, she's awake, but her back is to it. She's reading, she's awake, but she's involved. The only one paying attention to the signs and the changes and what's going on in the environment was the youngest one, which was Rose. And she kept telling them that this ship was about to come, and then it comes up on shore. Now when you see them running, once again, Rose is in the front, right? Followed by who? Followed by her mama, right? The two women. Then it's the son, and then behind it's the father. So that's just telling you the order, of them, because Rose is out front. You know what I mean? She beating everybody. I don't know why everybody's so slow running through this sand. Um, Especially when you're running for your life. So not only that, when you look at this picture, when you look at the white lion, I want you to look and you'll see there's a glyph underneath, in between the black and the red, look just like the glyph for Saturn, because Saturn represents karma. All right. Now, the White Lion is the first slave ship that docked in Point Comfort, Virginia. All right. The name of the city that they were in, staying at this property, this Airbnb that belonged to G.H. Scott, Mahershala Ali's character, was called Comfort Point. All right, Comfort Point. So the same city with the same ship, right, pulled up. But not just that, it was in 1619. And if you go to the scene where Clay, the father, goes out to get a newspaper in town and he's getting lost, he's smoking a cigarette, he's trying to see if there's anything coming through the radio. When they put the camera on the radio, they put it on the radio about 2-3 times as he's hitting the button. What station is it stuck on? 1619. 1619. So they got the 1619, they got Point Comfort, and they got the White Lion. All right. And as Credo Mutwa said, God sends his children in the form of white lions to heal and protect. Right. So this is a sign. This is a sign letting you know, yeah, there's things popping off. There's stuff that's about to happen. McQuail, who's the music composer of this whole movie, is from Virginia. All right. Where Point Comfort actually exists at. Also, you see the glyph for Saturn, which represents karma, right? On the hull. Slavery ends. This is the one. Slavery ends when maritime law, right? The law of the water, right? The cruises, the banks, is challenged by common law or law of the land. All right. So we looking at oil tanker. Okay. We know about the bricks, right? These are the bricks. I gotta take some water. The bricks, right? The oil tankers hitting the bank. There's a whole financial story taking place in this scene. The oil tanker is hitting the bank, huh? Because the bank is based on the oil, right? Exactly. And maritime law does not work when it's challenged by common law, otherwise known as what? The law of the land. So we see the boat coming up on shore. All right. And it's abruptly as well. You know? All right, all right, all right, all right. So let's keep popping. Let's keep popping. Let's keep popping through this thing. All right. So Friends was a big thing up in this movie. They kept talking about Friends, and Friends, it's a lot of levels to Friends. But we got to talk about Matthew Perry, who played Chandler Bing. All right, a character on the show Friends. All right. Now, based on social media, don't we all want fake friends? Don't you want fake friends? Everybody wants fake friends, don't they? You know, people that like you don't even know, don't even care about, you don't do anything for, they don't do nothing for you. Y'all don't have no conversation. Y'all don't go out to eat, break bread, work together, talk together, go to the park together, have fun together, anything. No, it's just endless amounts of ones and zeros that say they're your friend and they like and they hit hearts and they appreciate you, right? Friends, right? Yeah, I'll be there. Nah, I ain't about to go on that. So, what you don't know about Matthew Perry is that his character's name wasn't just Chandler Bing, but it was Chandler Moriel Bing. So we got the Morocco, right? Then we got the maritime law hitting the common law of the land, right? We got the oil and the bricks, right? But now we got Moriel, right? So not only Mor and L, but the meaning of this particular entity, right? In Hebrew, Moriel becomes abaddon. And abaddon means destruction, doom. All right, meaning destroyer. Okay, appears in the Bible as both a place of destruction, hell, and an angel of the abyss. In the Hebrew Bible, Abaddon is used with reference to a bottomless pit, often appearing alongside the place of Sheol, another flat earth reference, right? Because apparently it's the firmament separating the waters from the waters, and underneath is Sheol, right? Meaning the resting place of the dead peoples, which we see littered around the place throughout this movie, right? He dies. They have not claimed what the cause of death has been of Matthew Perry, right? He had a autobiography he was writing, and he actually mentioned in there that he thought he wasn't going to survive, that he might end up getting killed. He had mentioned this a couple times. And then he dies in a hot tub on Julia Roberts' birthday. On Julia Roberts' birthday. Shout out to Mama Jade. On Julia Roberts' birthday, 10/28. That's the day Julia Roberts was born. That also is the day of the lunar eclipse. And they showed the lunar eclipse in the movie when they panned back and showed the moon and the crusted old American flag and showed the earth. And then the earth became red and it turned into an eclipse. And then what happened? What happened after that scene? We see a cup of water. He died in water, right? Handed to Julia Roberts. as she awakens, and next to her, her son, Archie, gets up. And what happens to Archie? Oh, I don't know. Maybe his teeth fell out? Huh? But the irony is the fact that Matthew Perry revealed he lost all of his top teeth in harrowing addiction battle as world mourns friend's legend. Ugh. So you mean to tell me a guy who was an actor, a main actor on the cast of Friends, dies on Julia Roberts' birthday, loses his teeth during the eclipse? This was the same day as the eclipse. Look it up, 1028. And it's her birthday. She gets up with a cup of water next to a male who gets up and his teeth falls out. Not to mention the trailer came out only 4 days before that. So the trailer comes out like on the 24th. The eclipse and Julia Roberts' birthday and his death happens on the 28th. Listen, man. I don't make this stuff up, man. All right. Now, Friends was created to take attention away from living single. Okay, let's talk about this because this whole movie got to deal with race relations, black and white, electromagnetism, everything like that. So there was definitely a situation in which Fox had Living Single in August of 93. They came through bussing. Everybody loved Living Single. Living Single was tearing it up. And even though it started off with all these characters that were single, everybody ended up finding love. You know what I'm saying? I think except for Regime. I don't know if Regime did. I can't remember. You know what I'm saying? But Overton and Sinclair, you know what I'm saying? The handyman, right? The handyman and the woman that's feminine, kind, agreeable, peaceful, and loving, beautiful, right? The two of them got together immediately, right? Then you got Kyle and Maxine. They ended up getting it. So it was love going on at the same time. But yet and still, Living Single was doing his thing. And then here comes NBC, who put together Friends, which was based on Living Single, to compete with them. And pretty much a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes to sabotage Living Single, and they ended up going off air, I think, in like 98. You know what I'm saying? While Friends ended up getting another what, 4 years after that? No, 6 years after that, because they had a 10-year span, and Living Single only had a 5-year span. You know? But symbolically, what we're looking at is Living Single versus Friends. So it's like, are you comfortable with yourself? Do you know who you are? Are you comfortable with who you have become? Can you be to yourself and build yourself up to become amazing? Can you become the best partner for another person? Can you become the best son, the best father, the best brother, the best friend? Can you become any of those things? Are you able to sit in silence? Do you need to be on social media all day, every day? Do you need somebody to like you? Do you need somebody to share you? Do you need somebody to exchange with you through this cyberspace, right? Are you able to live single, or do you need friends? I'm just saying, you know? All right, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. Y'all need to listen to what Denzel just said about social media, right? Oh, speaking of Denzel, I'll skip right to it. Denzel Washington left. Y'all didn't even know G.H. Scott was supposed to be Denzel Washington. That's right. Denzel Washington was supposed to play G.H. Scott character and left. Yes, he left. He walked off. He said, "No, I'm good. I'm good." And was replaced with Mahershala Ali. Hmm. Just saying. Why did he leave? Maybe because of the character GH had to play. Like, I could see Denzel probably there's a few scenes in that movie he probably was like, that ain't me, bruh. Not at my age. Not at my age, you know. So I don't know if you noticed this, but in the bedroom in the home, there was a picture of a paint. There's a painting behind the bed that was a picture of water, which is interesting because Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke are both water signs, and not just water signs, they're both Scorpios. Both of them. Both of them are Scorpios. All right. Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke. You know, and speaking of Denzel, we know who he was in Training Day, right? So this painting behind them kept changing throughout the movie, right? A lot of water symbolism throughout the whole film. You know, it was raining, they had the pool outside. When he walked inside the neighbor's house, the floor was wet, the plane crashing, you know, right outside the ocean. Um, what else? And then them filling the tub with water, the beach, the whole tanker coming up on the shore, all of that. But as the movie went on and it got more intense, the waters got rougher and rougher. So you would see it still at one point, then another scene you would see waves, and then the other scene you'd see rough, turbulent waters. This was the painting. I'm like, y'all ain't noticing the painting changing behind you? Yo. You know, yeah, if Denzel was in it, yo, that yeah, things would have happened just a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? First of all, he would have been sleeping in that basement. All right. So yeah, talking about the teeth falling out. You know, I know I wanted to put this in there because I know a lot of people's like, "Yo, what if that happened, bro?" So there's actually something called lipis or lipis, low intensity pulse ultrasound, and there's an actual researchers have found out that this particular technique regrows teeth. So we talking about no root, nothing, like your teeth totally gone. They have a electromagnetic pulse wave that can stimulate the gums in your body to regrow teeth from nothing, you know. So they said they about 18 months or so away from like perfecting it, but I wanted to put this up here because I thought y'all might find it interesting, you know, especially with the guy as Dr. Tariq L. Almost Bay right here, not Tariq Bay from the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry, you know, and Dr. Jai Chen, which is deep because Jai Chen deals with what I'm going to talk about soon in regards to 2024 being the year of the dragon. That's actually Chinese for all of that, you know, if you translate it. So I you know, it be stuff all around. It be stuff all around. All right. So in talking about the teeth falling out, you know, it was because of that direct energy weapon, which was noise or sound weapon, a sonic weapon that was being emitted in the sky that caused radiation. This is what Danny, Kevin Bacon's character, was talking about. The guy that was like the doomsday prepper. And in that radiation, you know, that coupled with the Lyme disease, because Archie got bit by the tick, you know, and in that, you know, the radiation affected his teeth and had his teeth falling out, had him throwing up. And that's just to say, like, when we're dealing with a lot of these diseases, they usually want to attribute it to viruses and viral outbreaks and things of that nature, but most often than not, it's usually parasites combined with radiation. It's toxemia and it's radiation. And having the heavy metals in us causing the parasites to be induced, this is what causes all these symptoms of all the different diseases that, you go to the doctors, they're like, I don't know why. I don't know why it was going on. But DO stands for direct energy weapon, and the mud flood represents a reset that took place on this planet. We think that you know all of this is brand new under the sun that we've done, but we've actually been here before. And there was a situation that took place where there was a great reset, and the a lot of the adults were killed off, and the children were actually raised to be force fed all of these traditions, and that's who the great great grandparents are now. You know what I'm saying? That they were those children, and you can look up the orphan trains. A lot of the asylums were these buildings that was created for a lot of the adults that was still left over. They threw them into crazy institutions, just experimented on them, until they broke, so that they can accept the new world, that came. And the mud flood was a byproduct of direct energy weapons that caused a great deal of flooding and everything throughout the world. That's why you have cities built on cities now. That's why you go downtown and you see windows on the ground floor that's only 1/8 of the window showing, and the building goes down another 4 or 5 floors because that used to actually be ground level before the flood came. So these are all little symbols just to show how we left worlds behind already. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it ain't even nothing new. It ain't even nothing new. So let's go to next slide. Next slide. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So when this goes back to the Morocco thing again, like I said, a lot of more stuff is in here talking about who we are and everything. I'm gonna keep building this thing up, but when Clay, Ethan Hawke's character, was driving to pick up a newspaper, but he got lost. I think this is right before he ran into the Mexican woman that he ditched and left back there. He pulled over. This is when he was lost. This is when he got lost. This is when the citizen. This is when the Hawk, the Clay, right? Right? Clay. We're talking swarthy people. The Hawk, right? This is when we got lost. We got lost at an area right where there was a sign by the car. He pulled over by a sign, and the sign said Tanny Farms. Tanny Farms, right? What are you farming? Were you farming citizens? Where you get that from? Because Roger B. Tanny, right, was a Supreme Court judge that was involved in the case, the Dred Scott case. Who is Dred Scott? For all my Moors out there, for all the people that study the history of America and citizens and American nationals and everything like UCC and Maritime versus common law, y'all know who Dred Scott is. All right. So that y'all need to all look up the Dred Scott case. And the Dred Scott case was a huge case in America because it was about Dred Scott, who was a slave, who was coming to get recourse and become free. But he was claiming he was American citizen, and the judgment told him, yo, no descendants, none of your descendants, none of your indigenous Moorish descendants can claim to be a citizen and at the same time want to be free, because based on the 14th Amendment, based on what we illegally put up in this Constitution, it states that you are a corporate fiction. And as long as you keep claiming being the straw man in the Wizard of Oz, as long as you keep claiming being the corporate fiction, guess what? You're going to continue to be a slave. So he didn't win the case. He lost case. And one of the main judges that had to do with that and even formed the whole like what is that faculty crew, I can't think of the term right now, but the formed the whole group behind this was Judge Roger B. Tanny. And this is exactly where Ethan Hawke got lost at on the road going to get a newspaper. You know what I'm saying? Remember, news is an acronym, right? For North, East, West, South, past, and present. Um, past and present. What is it? Event. What is it? What's the R? Reference or something like that. Reference or report. Event report. Event report. So newspaper. Y'all don't even know. Did you know news? Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that? Did y'all know news was north, east, west, south? North, east, west, south, past and present event report. So as he's on the course to do that and he's lost, he passed by Taney Farms, who represents Dred Scott. Committee, yes, that's a good term. Thank you. Coalition, yeah, I could take that too. All right, let's keep popping. All right, let's keep going. We going. Where we at with it right now? Wow, we 42 minutes in already, but this thing is rolling. Y'all in the building too, man. Y'all in the building too. Let me get a check, man. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Hmm? Everybody good? Picture still good? Sound still good? Y'all still rocking with me? All right, all right. Feeling good, feeling great. How are you? I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's keep popping. All right. So, Rose and Archie. Okay. Now, Rose had a NASA shirt on. Archie had an Obey shirt on. So together, what do the children read? Obey NASA. So this is another reference to the planet and whether it's a toroidal shape, an eyeball, a flat Earth, or what. One thing I know is the Earth ain't what they tell us to be because everything else is a lie. I ain't seen a picture of the Earth. And I know it has to be more dynamic than what they show. Everything is. The deeper you learn about the body, the more you find out how much more amazing it is than they say it is. So why would the Earth be any different? It's our habitat. It's where we live. It needs to be the most mind-boggling, mind-popping, mind-blowing, amazing thing when we finally do actually see the scope and understand the scope of it, which I definitely have my theories on it. And that's a whole nother video, but this is another reference. Okay. Obey NASA. Okay. So Archie is low vibrational. His character is all low vibrational. He does represent masculine energy, not a man, but just the low vibrational root chakra, masculine energy. His is obey, death, kill. That's his whole thing. When we first see Archie for the first time, he in the backseat of the car playing shoot 'em up video games. All you hear is gunshots and people dying. All right. Then his other energy is just sex. That's all he thinking about is smash, smash, smash. When he's on the beach, his sister talking to him, he turning around looking at girls in the bikinis. Then he gives his mom on the phone, talk about, yo, so and so not far from here, yo. Can she come over? Can I go over there? And then when Ruth shows up, you know what I mean? He like, oh man. And then if that ain't worse, he tried to rub one off in the middle of the night. After sneaking pictures, he was sneaking photos of her. He was sneaking photos on the phone and was about to rub one off in the bedroom. And then the sister came in to interrupt him. And yeah, this is after he got bit by the parasite too. Extremely pessimistic. Okay. Being an older brother that rose to him as a burden and finds pleasure in causing psychological stress and pain to his sister. He finds comfort in destroying her self esteem, any hopes, any imagination, anything she's on, any message she got. She's tripping because she's so addicted and obsessed with friends. But the addiction and the obsession with friends is because nobody's listening to her. He's the weakest, so he's the most affected. So he gets the tick, the parasite, he gets the teeth coming out, he's throwing up and everything like that. And then he's also an idiot talking about the noise was a sonic boom. Just like, hey, okay, buddy. He obeys his lower self. That's all he's on is his lower self. He even banged the sister head into the glass, talking about some weird dudes living in the shed looking through the window at you at night. Like, an older brother, a man, is supposed to be there to offer security, safety, and protection to a wife, a mother, a sister, a auntie, a niece. You know what I mean? Whatever. Whether you younger brother or older brother, you're supposed to provide that for them. He was doing the exact opposite. Rose has awareness but is distracted and not guided, so she is delusional, hence NASA. All right, so she got awareness, she's seeing everything going on but is distracted at the same time because she's caught up with the friends thing, with the social media thing, with the depression thing, needing the dopamine thing to keep her going. All right, um obsessed with friends, and that represents social media because we are in the need for likes and shares and approval from strangers and relationships that aren't real. Okay, because even Ruth said that. Ruth said, so that's her show. And then the mother was like, more like an obsession. And she was like, it's amazing that one is nostalgic over a reality that never existed, a time that never existed, because she wanted to go to the coffee shop, but the coffee shop don't even exist, That's equivalent to Santa Claus not being real. We perpetuate Santa to our children all the time, you know what I mean? Talking about they want to go to North Pole to see him, but that's all she was on. That was her Santa Claus, you know. Let me hold on one second. Yeah, man. This movie is sensational, as Future would put it, right? Sensational, sensational. Let me get some likes. Let me get some subscribes. Like and subscribe. If y'all feeling this, go on and hit the thumbs up, please. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Hit the likes. Hit the likes. And leave some comments in there. Let me know what y'all think of this so far. If y'all messing with it or not, or not. But this is all right. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, we get into the Obamas. We get in there. We get in there. Step by step. Step by step. day by day. Um, all right. So let's see what I got next. Okay. So we got this too. So right when the movie came out, a red sprite phenomenon was captured by the space station. So, when you get into thunderstorms and lightning storms throughout the world, which, they had the rain and the storming and everything was going on in the movie. In addition to the thunder that was clapping before the noise hit, and then there was the deer symbolism as well. And the deer is connected because he specifically said when they first saw the mother and the daughter deer outside, and Julia Roberts was just stuck on it. Clay was like, um yeah, they're real magical and mystical in Mesoamerican culture. So he specifically said Mesoamerican. Deers are revered all over the world, but he alluded to Mesoamerican specifically. And in Mesoamerican folk, I can actually just let me just pull that one up now. That's later, but I might as well just pull it up now before I get into the sprite. So um it's connected to the lightning deity Tlaloc. All right. And you know, deer represent an army of celestial stars. Because like we kept seeing them in large quantities, a large quantity. Um, 1 second, y'all. So we were seeing deer in large quantities, right? And when you see large quantities of deer, they're seen as an army of celestial stars fleeing east to west. Now remember, when we kept seeing pictures of the earth, they were showing the east coast. You could see Florida at the bottom, so they were showing the east coast every time. So specifically fleeing east to west to escape the powerful morning star Venus. Now we know what the morning star is. The morning star is Lucifer, right? So we talking about the devil. We talk about Satan here, right? So they talk about fleeing the east to west, right? Not necessarily the west coast, but leaving out of the east and going west. Many Mesoamerican origin myths feature the deer, a creature of modern day researchers pair with the sun. So they represent the sun as well. All right. They deal with drought, hence why they kept showing all the water being needed, the necessity for water. Even when we saw Danny, that's what he was stacking in the back of his truck. And with a vital need to end drought with the help of rain and lightning by the deity Tiamat. Okay, and they carry the sun. Also, in the calendar, the seventh day sign of the calendar is a deer's head. All right. So the deer actually represents the seventh day in addition to that, and they represent praise, speed, alertness, of course they, all the good vibrations of dreams and they're very benevolent signs when you see them in a forest and everything like that. But on the most simple level, they're prey. What do we know deer for? To keep it all a buck. We hunt them. We hunt them, we kill them. So in essence they standing around looking at us like, oh man, we can get closer to y'all now because y'all pray just like we pray. Y'all are no longer the top of the food chain. There's somebody else that's top of the food chain. Okay. All right. Let's keep popping. Let's keep popping this thing, baby. All right. Where was we at? All right. Let me go back to the sprite. So when there is lightning and thunder. We see what goes on below the clouds. We don't see what happens above the clouds, in between the clouds and the firmament, and that is the red sprite. Okay, the red sprite, which is a phenomenon of this red. It's this amazing red geometrical shape. They look like angelic beings that pop up, right? And there's also elves and pixies too. I think the elves are like these they look like Ouroboros, and the pixies are like little sparkling orbs. So there's different light phenomena that take place. All right. So red sprites, also known as red fairies, are a type of transient luminous event. All right. TLE. Now, you know, we just talk about the deity, it's called Tialak. You know what I mean? So it ain't too far from the deity's name in a sense, in abbreviating it, right? So um TLE primarily appearing as red flashes of light occurring above the thunderstorms. They are part of a larger family of upper atmospheric phenomena linked to thunderstorm activity alongside blue jets and elves. So we kept seeing the satellite, we kept seeing the perspective from the moon, we kept seeing the sun rising and setting. So they kept showing the upper regions, of the earth. And this particular red sprite, when the movie starts off, a red sprite appears on the earth. Look at the beginning of the movie again. They're going to show the earth, and then all of a sudden you're going to see this red sprite appear over the earth. You're going to see it again when right before they showed the eclipse. They kept showing this over and over again, and actually one was spotted right when the movie dropped. All right. So Clay, who's Ethan Hawke's character, right? Um, is just that. He's Clay, He's wearing Bikini Kill. I talked about Bikini Atoll when I talked about they cloned Tyrone. The SpongeBob SquarePants is where they was blasting all the atomic bombs on everybody, tested everybody, creating genocide, out there in the Pacific Oceans, the Pacific Islanders and all of them, the Marshall Islands, martial law. So, when you see Bikini Kill, that's Bikini Atoll and killing the people, right? He's aloof. He don't know anything about it, and it has a what's the name, a record player on there, and it, of course, that deals with sound, and it wasn't too far after that where they was getting killed by the sound, but the sound is emitting radiation the same way that these atomic bombs do when they drop them. This is on the cover of his shirt. So Clay is just Clay. He's moldable. A man isn't supposed to be agreeable. He's supposed to be disagreeable. He's a husk of a man, no real substance. He has no direction. Teaches media studies, right? Which is like, okay, cool. But are you teach media studies, but you're talking about what the media, with the mass media and what all that's about. We talk about meteor showers. We don't talk about media showers, though. He does not lead the house. All right. Amanda does, right? Because she's a man. Duh. Because she's a man. Duh. Right? She's the man. When the movie starts, right? He's asleep. He's knocked out. She's packing. She's getting up. She's getting ready to go. Standing by the window, talk about, you know what I realized? I hate people. I hate people. She didn't say I hate society or I have a distaste for the world. You know what I'm saying? Or people ain't the same as what they used to be. Like, I think the only time we heard anything about a friend, I think that was a coworker in the car talking about, you know what I'm saying, some type of report she had to turn in, but she was in the advertising, so that tells you, like when you watch the movie The Century Itself, and it, Sigmund Freud and the whole history of the psychology that goes into advertising. She talking about she learning how evil people are. Like, how about the people that you work for? How about your firm? You know what I'm saying? As you and she's looking down at the people as well. But at the same time, like, some of us can't agree with that because we go out or we deal with folks, we look at social media and we like, yo, they gotta be NPCs. You cannot be human with a soul acting like this, you know? So she dictates the vacation, she dictates sex, cigarettes, you know what I mean? I know you smoke. She get on him about it, don't want him to do it, but you know what? I'm gonna let you this time. Who comes in the house, you know what I mean? And she even stated when they was playing Django that her job was to make his life a living hell. And even when the door knocked, he wasn't aware of it. He's talking about this girl um wanting him to write the forward in the book, and she like, yo, you heard that? And he's just still talking. He ain't even He's supposed to be the one, like, what was that? He's supposed to one be ready. He was like, a bat? Where am I gonna get a bat from? Like, you don't got no weapon, you don't got no protection. You took your family on this thing. You don't have no means of protecting your family while you out here in this place. He's just totally aloof. And when things got real serious near the end of the movie and couldn't find the daughter, couldn't find Rose, she was like, so what do we do? He was like, I don't know. He was just terrible, you know. So yeah, that's Clay. All right, so who was behind all of this? Who was behind all of this? um and we're going to get to the cabal conversation soon, but who was behind all of this, really? Because I don't think any person was behind it. That's why in the conversation he said no one's pulling the strings, because the pulling of the strings was offloaded on AI. Because we saw a drone appear. Like, I thought it was a plane. First we heard it. Even Clay heard it. He looking, he don't see it. I know y'all be hearing planes and you look up and don't see nothing. This happens to me all the time. I hear it. It's loud. It's taking over the whole sky. I look up. There's no plane to be seen, whether it's cloudy, partly cloudy, or no clouds at all. What's that about? Then all of a sudden, a drone appears and is dumping all these pamphlets out, right? And it looks like blood, right? It looks like it's spilling blood as this drone is flying through the sky. Then we got the scene with the Tesla cars, another scene where Clay is totally aloof. Hey, there's a car coming. Let's wave him down. And she's like, get in the car. She takes the wheel because he was driving, but apparently he can't handle the wheel and lead. So she had to take the wheel from him. Okay. So Danny, Kevin Bacon's character, said that on the West Coast, a friend of his said that the Koreans was responsible, but on these pamphlets, it said it was in Arabic, right? So my thing is, on the West Coast, you close to China. On the East Coast, you closer to the Middle East. So wherever if we were south, then it might have been in Spanish, and if it was north, it might have been in French. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So wherever you were, those pamphlets was going to reflect the closest enemy to you, so you could just point the boogeyman out. But they kept saying it was a cyber attack, hackers, and GH Scott was in cybersecurity. So them Teslas was being self-driven. So I got the feeling that it was AI that was responsible for all this, and this is why the cabal packed up and got out of there, because they did as much as they could with it and then broke out and just let the algorithm just do what it do, because everything is compute based on computers, right? All right. So, Tameri, which is now America, was originally populated, ran, and lived on by melanated people, indigenous people, aboriginal people, swarthy people, copper colored people. Caucasians occupied, right, our house. Okay. They came and they took occupation. They raped, they pillaged, they did all that, right? Still doing it to the day. But they came and occupied our house the same way as an Airbnb, right? And then when we showed back up on some, we making paper now, we got businesses now. They extremely reluctant to let us in them rooms and get out the way to let us do what we do. And I'm not talking about handouts. I'm talking about how about you just stop killing young men? How about you stop creating all this resistance towards us? Focus on your people, focus on what y'all doing, and let us rock. Just let us do what the hell we got to do for our community, for our family, for our people, so we can thrive and not just survive. We can live out in this, you know what I'm saying, and do what we need to do. So that's what we were seeing with this whole situation was these white folks that rented a house, didn't know it was black people's house. They don't care whose house it was. It was like, it's my house. They come back to their house, right? And they reluctant to let them in. And the father was civil rights type, humble. Let me, Martin Luther King style with it. And we're gonna get to Martin Luther King in a second, Martin Luther King style, right? But then the daughter Ruth, she was unapologetic. Okay, Ruth was unapologetic, beautiful young black woman doing her thing up in there. She was awesome in this movie. I like she was such a trigger. What they call a trigger, triggering. She was a trigger. Every time she'll get under your skin, she was just like, there was no filter. But I mean, Julia Roberts was the same thing, but it's like Julia Roberts gets excused, but the young one don't. She just represents the new generation where as they coming up, they're not gonna talk that same way because Ruth is what? Ruth is ruthless. All right. Ruth is ruthless, baby. Um, so the why the men were more soft, and the women were more ruthless. And this is going to get more into some of the occultism I'm about to get into. And the slavery movies always show how humble the wives are. They're the one that's always helping the slave out, but in actuality they're usually the ones that was the most ruthless and deadly, demonic and evil in real life. You know what I'm saying? Because it was always some white woman getting raped. They even said it in this movie. you know when Clay and Amanda was talking upstairs, deciding whether or not they was going to let them stay in their own house. I got to decide whether or not you can stay in your own house, son. That's it. Listen, we had to see that just to see how crazy that sounds when this is your land, this is your home. You know what I'm saying? And somebody has to decide whether or not you have a right to stand on your square. Are you crazy, son? But they going back and forth, and she like, oh, and just to think of what could happen to Rose, and then Clay made a joke and was like, oh, you don't think he wants Archie too? And she was like, what are you talking about? So it's like, you up here insinuating that this man, once again, black man gonna rape white woman, and not even white woman, white daughter. So you hinting pedophilia when you know good and well who really doing the trafficking, huh? Who's really doing the trafficking? All right, so you know what I'm saying? All right. So let's we rounding third. We rounding third, man. I'm about to wrap this thing up. Did y'all know about this? Shout out once again to Mama Jade. I didn't know this. Did y'all know that Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King paid for the hospital bill of Julia Roberts' birth? Huh? I gotta look in the chat for this one because I gotta see. Gotta see. Yo, 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 do y'all know that the MLK family, the Milk family, paid for Julia Roberts' birth, bro? She was born in the hospital. They could not afford the bill, and they fronted the bill. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that? Because I said, speaking of civil rights, right? And I talked about Martin Luther King too, right? And the irony that black folks paid the bill for her to be born, but her character couldn't believe that black people owned the house that she was in, the home, the house that she rented, right? The irony. Of course, there's more to this story, 55 years later. Wild. Wild. All right, let's get to it. All right, so I saw somebody in chat talking about the blue, and it was coming. Blue was very, very distinct in this movie. All right, so the Cabal and the Kabbalah. So the Cabal is the cube and the ball, because with Freemasonry, you have the compass and the square. So what do you do with a compass and a square? With a square, you make angles, you make triangles, you make squares, you make rectangles, right? You make angles like a man who is masculine. Line is angles, okay? But then when you have a woman, you have feminine, which is feminine, and the nine is curved. So with a compass, you make curves, you make circles. So when you want to take squares and circles to another level, when you want to get deep, you know what I'm saying? With a circle and a square, you have a cube and you have a ball, and that's what the Cabal is. It's the cube and the ball. Three-dimensional application of square and the compass of Freemasonry. All right. So the Kabbalah showcases both the angles and the spheres, both cube, square, and the curves and the circles, right? The two pillars of mercy and severity. So when you got the Kabbalah, you got the two pillars, right? Of and then in Masonry, you got Yakin and Boaz, but they represent in Kabbalah, they represent mercy and they represent severity. All right. So who is severe? Who is cutthroat? Who is ruthless? Right? The same thing as on the Kabbalah, the feminine side of the pillar, the feminine side of the pillar of the Kabbalah is the severity side. The female side is the severe side. That is the side that Ruth was playing, as well as Julia Roberts' character, because they was very severe. They was unapologetic. They was very ruthless. And then the male side is the what? The side of mercy. Okay, that's the other side of the Kabbalah. The masculine, the male side is the mercy side, and that side you saw that in a movie. Who was merciful? G.A. Scott. George was merciful. So was Clay. Both of them were very merciful. All right. So they were in Long Island, New York. So York is going to represent the York Rite. All right, because Masonry has two sides. You got the York Rite, you got the Scottish Rite. Okay, so New York represented the York Rite, which are the Royal Arch Masons, hence Archie, right? His son's name is what? Archie. Okay. GH last name was what? Scott. So he's the Scottish Rite. And if you notice, his house had a lot of blue and he was always bathed in blue in the different scenes. Okay, the play of racism shows the civil war of black and white, just like the checkerboard, the chess board, the black and white on the board of chess. All right, that was being played. We saw this between Danny and GH when they faced off in front of the house, right? Yet Danny had the higher ground, right? He was up on the porch in the house, already prepared. Kevin Bacon, you know where bacon come from, right? Had the cowboy hat on, right? Texas, right? Right? He was on a higher ground, and higher ground is the name of the production company that the Obamas own because they were the producers of this film. Barack Obama, Michelle Obama produced this film. Barack Obama was the source material for Sam Esmail, who is the director, who's also the creator of the show I Robot. No, yeah, no. What's is it? I Robot is the movie. What's the show though? The robot show. It might be I Robot too. Somebody tell me in the chat. What's the name of that show? Mr. Robot. Thank you. Said I Robot. There we go. Appreciate you. Yes. Sam Ishmael is the creator of the show Mr. Robot. And he had a quote in the paper that said, in an article that said, Obama scared him because he said that the film was one of the greatest representations of the real thing. Like Obama was like, you on it, you on the one. And he said he got scared because of that, you know? So yeah, they ended up producing this film. And of course they're gonna produce this film because they're responsible for putting it out there. They're like, okay, it used to be through like little stories and stuff, and then it'd be little clues in movies. Now they make movies where the whole movie is a confession, and we have to understand that with Leave World Behind, no, it's not on no, oh man, everything's gonna hit the fan. It's like we have to leave this old world behind. We can't keep living like this. You know what I'm saying? This is not sustainable for ourselves, for our environment, for our future generations. The testosterone levels is dropping. That means the sperm count dropping. That means the quality of sperm is dropping. How you gonna impregnate a queen? The eggs is dry. The women are dry. The women have fibroids all down there and yeast infections down there. How are you going to have a real good egg? How are we going to bring forth the necessary powerful beings when we all jacked up and our environment's all jacked up? And most of us are not even aware of the toxic environment that we live in. So we have to take warning to films like this, not to get spooked out and scared and it's doomsday and everything like that, but just to get prepared and recognize that, hell, heaven, right, all represent here on earth. Okay, heaven is the head, all right, and hell is the heel, the bottom of the foot. Okay, that's hell down there. All right. And then you have earth in between the two of them. And if you take if you mix the words up, you just take the H off the end and put it at the beginning, you got heart, right? And that's what the earth represents, with all the greenery and the abundance of the green, and the deer and the love and everything like that, you know but yeah, very very Masonic. For those that watched the film, that was a very powerful scene where he sat there and he confessed to Julia Roberts what was really going on, because we knew he was holding something. And this was to also show that when we think about Illuminati and we think about all of these powerful elite, we always think Caucasian, and it's like, yo, you do know we're powerful people too, and we're responsible for a lot of these problems as well. So don't think for 1 minute everybody's like pasty on the other side of this thing. You know what I'm saying? Because he was in the cybersecurity. He was amongst all of this. He was the one that had the information. The most information, Danny, he had to get it, off the radio and put pieces together. But no, this guy got it directly from the source, you know? And he admitted to the cabal, and he was like, yo, saying that some shadowy government is responsible for this is a lazy reason. He was like, the truth is far more scary, and that's no one's in control. There's complete anarchy. There is no government. There ain't no government. You know what I'm saying? These people ain't government. These people are crooks. You know what I'm saying? We know that. So, they packed up and they dipped, and the AI just running rampant, doing what it's doing, tearing things up, and yeah. Yeah. So Ruth was the truth. You just had to put a T in front of her name. Ruth was the truth, man. She was fit, she was healthy, she was sharp, she was beautiful, and she did not bite her tongue, but she was still respectable to her father and still looked to her father for guidance, which was a sight to see. And there's a few things she was saying. A lot of her stuff was dialogue, and she was like, one thing was when Rose saw all those deer, she was having a dream, because the next scene was her waking up from this dream that was happening at the same time. So as Rose actually seeing the deer, she's probably communing with them, but she was mentioning how when he was leaving to go to Danny, George, her dad was leaving to go to Danny to get help. He was going to get help with Archie for his son, and was going to leave the daughter there. And there's two sides to it. One of it is, bro, you abandoning your daughter. She telling you, yo, don't leave. This is how it's supposed to go. When we split up, something is happening. Something is happening right now. Do you understand that? Like, you can't leave me. You're not going to return. And even though it's hinted that they're going to kind of be all right at the end of the movie, technically, when the movie ends, he didn't return back by the time the alarm went off. You know what I'm saying? She was there with Amanda, looking at New York, getting nuked. And just before that, she got surrounded by all the deer, you know? And remember, deer represent awareness and alertness, And it was really kind of the last effort for nature to tell them, yo, you need to leave now. It's time to go. Let's go. You one of us. Let's roll. It looked intense, like they was going to attack her. What was they going to do? Like stomp her and gorge her with their antlers or something like no, they wasn't like, the animals wasn't affected by any frequencies that just had them like attacking anybody. Their navigation systems was off. That's another reason why the AI was a thing, because when the boat came up shore and Clay asked one of the people, yo, why is what's going on? The guy was like, yo, it's happening all up and down the east board. They said something about the navigation systems. You know what I'm saying? Which, all this stuff is computed, So if AI is involved in it, then yeah, it could go array. So yeah, they split up, she also was like, when they were sitting down in the basement in this scene, because look at them covered in the blue light right there. Um, she was like, I want them out the house. And he was like, yeah, but we can't scare them to get them out the house. We can't do that. And we have to make them feel comfortable, like everything's gonna be all right. And she was like, wait a minute, everything's gonna be all right, isn't it? And that's the dialogue of us and the government, or us and what we would call authority or whatever like that, right? Or the media, you know. That's that whole thing. Oh yeah, yeah, what I'm saying? We don't want to scam too much, you know what I mean? Because then it'll be, We don't want to do that. We want to make sure they nice and comfortable and they relaxed and everything. You know what I mean? So, when it hit, they don't see it coming. So it was a lot of very intense, intentional dialogue up in there, you know. Let's see where we at right now. We got 340 up in the building, boy. Y'all tuned in. Y'all tuned in. All right. So let's see what else we got. Um Yeah, and that last scene was strong, man. It was strong. So it was all the men and the women were separated. So masculine and feminine energy was separated. It was four men. It was Danny. He had his daughter in the house though. So it was Danny on the porch. It was GH. It was Clay, and it was Archie. Archie in the car. He's spitting up blood. He don't know what's happening to him. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the youth, the next generation of men. They like, if you think about it, in regards to men coming up back in the day, how strong our grip strength was, our discernment, how powerful we are compared to now, where folks is painting nails and wearing purses. You know what I mean? And very emotional, and I need to express my feelings and crying and all this other stuff going on. A lot of things going on with young men right now, very damaging to their hormones, to what they are and represent as a man and being masculine. And he just represented the deterioration of a male, with the father, with the next generation, who is so lenient and carefree, with no sense of responsibility, um who's responsible for him not being prepared for this world. Yet the daughter was a little bit more prepared, just a little bit, but she was addicted to friends, right? So um the let's see, where's the so the pamphlet that was dropped down that said death to America represented the fact that, this is what we coming up on. This year is the year of the dragon. We're in the rabbit. Last year was a tiger. Julia had a tiger on the back of her sweater in the house. But this upcoming year is the year of the dragon. Okay. The wood dragon. Okay, so yang wood, right? Because think about it, the masculine energy was missing from the men, but the women were showcasing a lot of yang energy. So yang wood represent big strong trees. Okay, dragon is associated with woo, the earth, as well as with water and wood. This means that the year of the wood dragon symbolizes energy, renewal, inspiration, and innovation. This is the potential to achieve your dreams. I heard that if you're a dog on the Chinese astrology, this is not the year for you. It doesn't mean like, it just means, just stay in the cut and chill. I know we in Mercury retrograde right now too, so all of us need to be chill. But if you're a dog under Chinese astrology, just type your birth year in. It repeats every 12 years. Um, if you're a dog, you need to chill this year. Dragons are going to thrive. Boy, this is their year. If you're a dragon, or if you're compatible with a dragon or a friend of a dragon, then that's gonna help you as well. But we're in a dragon year, and you could just imagine with us moving into a dragon year, how powerful that is. What was 12 years prior to the dragon year? 2012. And we all know what 2012 was, right? And then what was 12 years before that? 2000, the millennia. You know what I mean? And then 12 years before that, what was that? 1988, right? We all know how 88 was. That was the harmonic convergence. So, these years are very, very powerful. These dragon years, and we're about to roll up in the dragon year. So that's what dropped down there. Death of America, rebirth of Tom Mary, rebirth of Al Morocco, rebirth of a Maxim. You know, um, dopamine. Look at that face, boy. Look at that face. Let me get some likes too, y'all. Let me get some likes. Huh? look, look at that face, huh? So everybody's looking for Rose, right? Everybody's looking for Rose. Can't find Rose. This is the only time that Archie was worth something because he was like, yo, we went looking at the shed. So, that kind of gave him an idea of the direction that they went in. And then Danny also gave him a hint because he was like, yo, this house built this bunker. So they both got the information, right? So she goes in this house, and the first thing she doing before she even found the bunker is she eating all the junk food in the world. All the junk food I'm talking about. She Kool-Aid, Doritos, you know what I'm saying? Cheetos, pork rinds, bro. You name it, it's on the table. She guzzling, she chomping. She can't even chew it, swallow it fast enough, right? So then once she got enough of her, because remember, all of that is for her parasites. All of that is for her psychology. We eat these chemicals in order for us to get off. It's a fix. So she eating all this stuff so she could get her hit, right? So she was like, okay, now that I got that, you know what I'm saying? I need my friends now. So she go downstairs. These people got everything to survive in this situation. Got clear air, got clean air, clean water, got plants growing down there, green vegetation, got the exercise room, right? These are all the things we're supposed to be on now, too. Exercise and resistance exercise, dealing with chlorophyll and live plants and everything, right? The pantry is ridiculous. Got every fruit, vegetable, bean, grain, food you could think of, A to Z up in there, right? That place is super stocked. Her and their family and a couple other families could live down there and survive together. Books out the wazoo, library to read, you know? And she sees the DVD collection. She sees friends. She turns on the TV, that blue light hits in the face. She's smiling. You see her? She's bathed in blue. This the blue light toxicity I'm talking about all the time with y'all, right? And she clicks on the last one, right? The last one, because continuing like this, last generation. Generations can't continue with living your life out in front of a screen through your whole life. You got purpose. The purpose is connected to the environment. What's the use of the environment if you're not interacting with it? Then you and the environment is gonna separate, and the environment ain't going nowhere. You are, you know. So people like, oh, I don't get the ending. The ending is the fact that she was more connected with a reality that don't exist. The idea of a reality for friends, for fake friends, for a fraudulent representation of reality. She wanted to live in an illusion. She was Cyrus eating the steak, talking about, I know all this is fake, but ignorance is bliss. Right? She said, and she told the story the night before, said she wasn't waiting no more. The guy on the radio got word on the radio that the flood was coming. And then he's like, yo, I'm one with God. I'm gonna pray to God. God's gonna come to me and help me. And a boat came and tried to save him, and he was like, nah, God's coming. And then a helicopter came and tried to save him. He was like, nah, God's coming. And then the river kept overflowing, and he drowned in the flood. And when he saw God, he was like, yo, I believed in you, bruh. why didn't you save me? And he was like, dog, I sent you, I told you on the radio, right? Emergency on the TV, right? I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. Like, what else you want from me? And that's pretty much the energy. What else you? That's God's energy in this movie. What else y'all want from me? What else y'all want from me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we can't forget when them two got drunk and they start dancing to next. You know what I'm saying? And they keep telling you gotta stay away from the white girl. And I mean, I'm talking about your wife is gone, dog. Your wife's gone. You was about to smash Amanda. Like that's what was good. That what you was gonna do, Mr. Scott? Come on, bro. What are you doing? Um, and just to show the lack of rhythm and the rhythm. Now I don't know if Julia was acting, but she was busting the pure Elaine dance from Seinfeld. She was not catching the rhythm, catching the beat at all. It was hard to watch. You know, Mahershala was doing a little two-step. Come on, man. Just follow me. I got a little groove. Terrible. Oh, it was terrible. Oh man. Oh man, it was terrible. All right, let's see what else we got, man. I think we about wrapped up. Um, let's see. I think I might have skipped a slide. Did I skip any slides? That might be it. Let me just go over some of my little notes I put down. Do, 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 do. Yeah, the movie started out with Julia Roberts saying she couldn't sleep. She had a hellish year. So, us and insomnia and not being able to sleep because we're working so hard and not working harder, not smarter. You know, the kids when they first got to the house, they jumped in the pool immediately because children are naturally drawn to be outside, especially if they don't have the option of tablets and phones and everything like that. They'll go outside and have a good time. It's just that, it got dangerous out there. So that was the problem. Um, let's see. Yeah, Julia Roberts was full blown Karen up in this movie, bro. They was like, "Can you play a Karen?" Um, yeah, I believe that might be it. Yeah. Yeah, they kept bringing up power plants over and over again, and I find that interesting. In that, um, um, because of one, they talk about the hackers and everything like that, but just the density of populations in cities is what causes all the illness from the toxemia, the radiation, and the morphogenetic resonance that occurs amongst the people, creating sickness around each other. So the more we stay in these concentrated areas amongst all that radiation, the more we susceptible to deterioration of our health. But also because she felt that her mother was no longer there. She felt cold. She could feel her mother was gone, and she represented the mitochondria of her mother. We know the mitochondria is the powerhouse or the power plant of the cell. She represented that energy. She was full of life. She was full of energy. She was electrical in this movie. So big shout out to the character that played Ruth. Her name is I think it's like Mahala. Let me see. Say her name properly. Hit those like buttons. Hit those like buttons, please. If y'all have enjoyed this so far. if y'all have enjoyed this so far. Yes, my holla, my holla. Yeah, that's her name. My holla, my holla. So you got Mahershala and you got my holla, Mahershala and my holla. Um, and they are the two, the mother and the father and the daughter. But yeah, so this is my quick little breakdown. Quick little breakdown, hour and 41 minutes. I had to get this out. I had to share this with y'all. The flamingos. So the flamingos represented the change of the migration patterns. The magnetic north being moved and everything like that, and changing. But there's always other layers to a lot of things that happens in the film, and there might be more to the flamingo situation. Yep, she was in Black Mirror. It was called Lock something, but it had to deal with this dude making a movie, and she was kind of inspiring him to make his documentary, a short story on this situation that was happening in his home city. And then he come to find out his like family was involved, and it was, yeah. But she was in that. She was in the Black Mirror episode, you know. But yeah, man, I just want to let y'all know, get outside. um, get outside, get out in the sun, connect with your family, connect with your friends, stock up water, stock up beans, get yourself a generator. No north, south, east, west. Travel without your GPS from time to time. Write numbers down in the book. Get a landline. How about that? Huh? Get a landline in your house. I mean, there's lots of things. Go to some survival classes. You know what I mean? Go to the tropics. Relocate. You know, there's a lot of things that you could do. But one thing you don't do is nothing. You know what I'm saying? What do you say in the movie? If you're not paranoid, it's already too late, or something like that. Um, but yeah, this movie was serious. You know what I mean? The camera angles, the music, the dialogue, the visuals, the symbolism. And I only watched it once. I haven't even seen it a second time yet. So I know when I'm probably going to end up going on some other channels. When I get on these other channels, I'll have more to talk about. But it's my first take. Hey, Mr. G in the building. What's up, Mr. G? Yeah, man. But yeah. So yeah, this has been another episode of Hollywood Decoded. This is specifically Leave the World Behind Decoded. I want y'all to go to Soanic Botanicals, get you something, Go on IG if you ain't following me already, follow me on IG. Become a Patreon. That's where I'm doing my cooking shows at. And as well as some other deep decoders. Matter of fact, the other information that I have on this, because of course I don't put it all out there, and then I got to watch it a few more times to get a couple more little tidbits. I'm gonna put that on Patreon, and TikTok as well. But soionicbotanicals.com. Check that out. And I'll be seeing y'all again soon. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.